as viewers, it really opened to our eyes and changed the way we view things. It really changed the way we should view things. Because one thing it exposed is that as people, we always trying to choose sides. We always trying to choose a side, pick a side. And in the show, it shows that you can't really pick a side because there aren't clear good people. There aren't clear. There's just bad and worse people, and that's the thing that we are clutching on. And just as the characters are being manipulated by the main character, we too are involved in her scheme. How are we involved in her scheme? We are involved in her scheme because throughout the show we are trying to latch onto someone who we deem as at least better than her. We're not looking for good anymore, we're looking for someone that is at least better than her. And in this, she's proving to us that there is no good people and that what she does is within reason. Although we know it's not within reason. Some point she did overreact and overdo what she did. Let me not say overdo, but I feel as though at some point she did become overcome with greed and lost the purpose or reason as to why she's doing what she's doing. Hi, in this video, I just want to address a few plot points within the show. So, Dear X is a show about a female sociopath who has been wronged throughout her life. From her younger days, she was abused by her drunkard mother, and when a drunken mother was fatally injured by her dad, she saw her mother lying down, still breathing, and she made the choice, a hard choice that a 6-year-old had to make in choosing whether or not she should keep her mother alive and deal with the abuse, or her mother should be out of her life so she can live at least slightly more peacefully. And this is a tough decision for a young girl to make, and she did what she had to do. She's a sociopath due to her environment, right? Second of all, her dad was beyond a deadbeat. He used the footage, what the show he said child porn. He abused her, and he didn't really care about her. He only needed her for her body and her looks to make money off of those things. A rich woman, she became a stepdaughter. She made her step sibling, Junseo, and that's when their weird relationship began. They weren't dating, but they were in such a weird relationship. Being with him, furthermore, they became close. One brain cell, one body. He was willing to do anything for her because his mother used to abuse her. There are reasons as to why. Yeah, his mother used to abuse her, and he witnessed it. And he now, in his late teens and his adult years, he hates that his mom used to abuse her, and he couldn't do anything when he was younger. So he does whatever she needs him to do because he feels bad for not being able to stand up for her when they were younger, underage, 10 years old, mind you. And she does use this against him. She constantly manipulates him and use him for when and remind him that, oh, remember how your mom almost drowned me and you're just going to leave me hanging like this? You're not going to assist me with my schemes? How dare you? And there she has him in a chokehold. But don't feel bad for him because he didn't need to assist her throughout his entire life. Don't feel bad for him because he too was part of these schemes. He too was assisting her with these schemes. Just as there's a lot of commentary online saying that they should sympathize with him, you can't sympathize with him. He did this out of his own accord. He did this for selfish reasons. And one thing you need to know about the main character and that you should not forget, and I think all women can relate to this, is that she wanted her freedom. She wanted her autonomy. She wanted to live for herself without waiting for someone to make a decision for her. So these people that she labeled as ex, people that she got rid of, got out of her life, are people who were shackling and holding her down. And what's so funny is that the main shackle, like after her dad, the main shackle was Junseo. He was the main shackle in her life. Because, mind you, most things happen is because most of the bad things and the bad choices that she had to make after the death of her dad was because his brother kept getting involved in the wrong points. He also, why is he also shackled? He also was infringing on her autonomy because he wanted her for himself. In what way? I don't know, because it's not clear that if he's in love with her romantically or he's just like sick in the head. Mind you, a lot of people on the show are sick in the head. The only normal, like like characters that are consistently appearing like in each and every episode is Jono. I'm just gonna call him Boy Two, her other toy boy that she used to run high school schemes with. The only the only person that she was that was known on the show was him. He's the reasons for the bad things, the choices that he made were within reason and something you can understand. When he was in his late teens as a teenager, he used to rob and extort money with kids. He worked with Becca Jean so they can do it in a much more smoother way and gaining more money, more profit. He did that because he needed to help his little brother at home because his dad is a drunk. And his dad was not really helping him. He was abusing him left, right, and center. Right? He also goes to prison when they finish high school, before they even when they're in grade 10. He goes to prison because he murdered his dad. But was it without reason? No. His dad was abusing his younger sibling and he stepped in and he accidentally killed his dad. But he served time for it and he recognizes that what he did was wrong. Becca Jane, on the other hand, she plotted on her dad's death and she used, well, innocent people to do this. And she intentionally put John Sale in prison during this time, in a holding cell during this time, because she knew he was going to interfere with her plan. And she doesn't kill people directly, but she does get rid of them either way. Um, the shopkeeper, the guy she was working under, he was an ex-baseball player, and she used him to kill her dad. At this point, as audiences, we are watching this, and we're like, okay, though the guy was the casualty of war, what can we do? Like, a girl needs her peace. You can sympathize, not sympathize, but you can sort of rationalize as to why she did what she did. And mind you, this time she got accepted to go to university, and she couldn't go to university within this. So she was on this college break here. She couldn't go to university because her dad stole her university entrance fees. He beat her up to the point where she couldn't be awake. So she was in a coma and she missed the admission date. So initially, it seemed like she was never going to go as far as she did, but because her future was robbed, she felt like as though her future was robbed from her. She had to take that drastic step. And mind you, I was furious too. Imagine knowing how your life has been horrible and that a person like you from a disadvantaged background, probably poor, the acceptance rate to this high end university is so low, and you are one of the people that get accepted to it. Your friend gets you money for you get a scholarship because it wasn't really a scholarship to go to this university, and then just for your dreams to get robbed away because your dad decides to rob you, and then you get beat up and you in hospital for 3 days and you miss the admissions date, and you get and you phone in and they're like, since you missed the admissions date, you can't enter this university. And so you spy. What I didn't get was, if Jinsei knew she was in a coma and was gonna miss the admissions date, why didn't he go and speak to them and try and sort it out? That's what I don't get. And also, my second point is, when he went to go get the money from his grandfather in cash, I was actually really pissed because I was like, why would you carry so much money on you and give it to her knowing like, do you see what I mean? He's always at the core of our problems, because why would he give us so much cash? Did I miss something? But why did he give us so much cash in her hand? Let's move on. So I'm just gonna discuss some plot points and people's demises that demises her downfall. It was really satisfying. It was bad, but it was satisfying. If someone has told you consistently, stay away from me, stop tormenting me, I'm gonna ruin your life. Because one thing about Pikachu, she doesn't play like that. She is not your friend. You think you're making jokes. She's not making jokes with you. She's not making jokes with you. She's not gonna play this game like a little girl. She dealt with her like an adult and sent her family to hell. Period. The downfall of the bully, I was so satisfied. And throughout the series, the bully makes an appearance. In the adult life, she makes an appearance. Simsangi, she makes an appearance throughout her life. and tries to make Becca Jean um ask her bigger for forgiveness or try to take things from Becca Jean because she feels as though Becca Jean ruined her life and she is deserving of whatever success Becca Jean has. And this also plays into the mind of the bully. She's not really a good person. First of all, she didn't hold herself accountable. There were so many chances for her to step away from Becca Jean and she chose not to. Number two, Becca Jean didn't owe her anything. Though yes, she did damage her family's image and then ruined her family's life. She doesn't owe her anything at all. And number three, it just shows that she was always undermining Becca Jean. She always thought less of her. She always thought nothing of her. And that the fact that someone that she thought as nothingness rose to something so big and become such a well-known actress in the future bothered her so much was because she first of all never thought of her as anything. She literally had a book in high school where she listed everyone's socioeconomic status and how she would interact with them. And at the bottom tier was people she would never even touch because they are quote unquote on her poor and not worthy of touching. And she got beat up for that. Well deserved. Quiet and to herself and that bothered her. Do you see to be a quiet person you are always bothered? For what reason, I don't know. Minding your business is a problem too. Anyways, her downfall was satisfying. She comes in Becca Jean's life twice in her future. First time being when Becca Jean is still an actress with Long Star Entertainment, and the last time was when Becca Jean gets married to Kim Do Hyuk, the I think he's a billion. We're gonna move to the most saddest deaths in the show. It's Ingang's death and his grandmother. Right? At this point, Becca Jean is an actress. She's building a name for herself. Is up and running. One thing about Becca Jean is that she's a survivor, and one thing that she's learned throughout her life is that you can't trust people too much. You cannot put your life in people's hands. And I feel like this is a continuous overarching lesson throughout this thing. I really love the show. She's not a good person. I totally agree with that. She's not a good person. I don't support anything that she does. If she were real and she were in my proximity, I would never want to be a friend and I would never want to be close to her. And I'm rightfully so, because even just being in close proximity to her was a bad thing for you because you could have been a casualty of the war and the fights that she creates. I don't want to be like that. Did you see what happened to our manager? She yapped too much and she also got fired. I don't want to be part of that. Mm-mm. Keep me at a distance. Okay, so what happens at this? She learns quickly that okay, there's this star, the main star of this company is Inga. And she's like, if I want my name to be known as a rising star and my name to have sort of influence, importance, and to gather attention, I need to be with this man. So she seduces him. And mind you, not seduce as in, because I know the first thing when people say seduce, they think it's ripping off your clothes. That's not seduction. Seduction is within words and in certain acts. How she does seducing. For once, this girl is a seducer. That she's a sociopath, but yes, she's also a seducer. She goes in, she somehow manages to get him together and dating. And she become and in order to date him, she has to be well informed because what is a woman without information? She grandma apparently has a book where she just writes like important information that she doesn't want to forget about her life, about her children, about her grandchild Ingang, the celebrity. And she happens to steal this book like a few months prior before they start dating, and she reads through this book to get to know this family dynamic, how the grandma thinks about England and about his grandma, obviously so that it could make her getting with him easier, speed up the process. And speed up the process she did because she got close to the grandma, and in turn of getting close to the grandma, she was able to get with the guy. I feel like that was really smart though. Anyways, once she got with the guy, the main aim of her being with this man was so that her career could rise and she could be noticed and she could get the attention that comes with being with us, a rising star. Because he was a celebrity actress, but he was also Uh, I wouldn't say he was like an A-list star, but he was on the spot to getting there, solidifying his name as one. And she needed that. And I think it's so fantastic that she chose someone who's still climbing to be like her partner, because if she had to choose someone that was already established, like a well established name, like her billionaire chaebol husband that she happens to marry in the future, her acting skills wouldn't be recognized as much. It would all seem like everything was handed down to her and it was easy for her to get to where she got. But being with this guy, it, though it gives her more attention to her name, it also allows her to show her talent, acting skills, and to solidify her own name as an actress, as a rising star, as a rising actress. So she decided, I'm going to date this bra for 1 year. That's the limit. And in this time, what I noticed is she was saddened by his death. Because people saying like she didn't care, like she didn't really care about him and she killed him. Guys, this be for real. He was having terrible anxiety. He was gonna kill himself anyways. His grandma was old. The show also hinted to the fact that she had a life changing surgery, which in his early days of acting he paid for and she recovered. She's an old woman. She was bound to pass away any time. And his mental state was literally hanging on a thread, and he offed himself. Mind you, she was saddened by his death, but the death that really struck her the most was the grandmother's death. And this is the only, I think this is only two times that she shows genuine emotions. Ingang's mother's death, grandmother's death, sort of at Ingang himself, and thirdly, when Juno dies. We're gonna get to that. So let's talk about his grandma. His grandma, she treated Becca Jean exactly how she's always wanted to be treated in her life. And she stayed with Ingang for as long as she did, because at some point she was starting to get comfortable. And she was starting to get comfortable because it's almost like she got everything that she desired, like a childhood wound were almost healing with this grandmother, always supporting her and always reminding her that you are actually a good person, like having a sweet, genuine adult person in your life who's not trying to extort something from you or use you. And we see that because Gina was really hurt by her death. And though she didn't let everyone else see that she was hurt by this death, it's nobody's business. Why are you going to share your hurt with people who don't know how to heal you? And and it was so I was really sad. I When I watched the scene where the grandma falls down the stairs, I knew she didn't do that. I knew she was going to do that because first of all, if the grandma had to snap it down, she could have just said like, "Oh my gosh, she just wanted to be close to you," and it would have been resolved. And I was also thinking, how did she get the grandma to the stoop so the grandma can fall down the stairs? Like, guys. And Junsil immediately believed that she killed the grandma. He didn't even question, did you really do it? He immediately believed that she did it. Jonah was the only one that was like, he obviously believed that she wouldn't do that. Why the hell would she kill the grandma? Like, the grandma was the only person who was genuinely on her side. The only person that she didn't need to connive, use. But, and then she did care about Ingang killing himself or committing suicide. Even though when she's confronted by the boss of the company of lying at the woman and being like, you didn't really care about him, like you pushed him to his death, she's acting cold. But she was affected by his death. She didn't attend his funeral because it did hit home for some reason. Because even though that was his best year of his life, that was also her first time that she could let go of it. Let's not say she had feelings for him, but the idea of her being with him and having that relationship with his grandmother was so precious to her too. And that's why she stayed over a year with him. And Junseo, being the smart guy that he is, he accuses her of killing the grandma. Like, why would she kill the grandma? Why would she kill the grandma? Anyways, moving forward, moving forward. He's the one that makes her act in such drastic ways. But she also can't get rid of him because he's a weak link. You never know if he's gonna betray her or if he's gonna be for her. Because at some point, Lena and his mom get into his head and he decides that, oh, because Janice is the bad person and she needs to be taken down. You helped her build herself to that point, and now you want to take her down and you feel entitled to her success. Do you see how entitled he is? He was throughout the show. Do you see how entitled he was to Pikachu throughout the show? And moving forward, what we're going to talk about now, let's talk about Juno. Juno was the most normal character on the show. He was normal. Decisions he had to make was normal. He was he was coming from a, I'm assuming a, he was from a broken home, and he wasn't from money. And he needed to make money. Maybe bullied, stole, and extorted money from the kids. That's how him and Pikachu became friends. No, not friends. Boss. He became employed by Pikachu because they're not friends in the show. He calls her boss, and she's the only one that recognized his usefulness, and that's why he feels indebted to her because she saw him as something, while the world saw him as trash. Obviously, that's gonna create a sort of dynamic where you're gonna want to do everything for this person because being seen, no one understands the gravity of wanting to be seen or being understood by at least one person in the world. And when I see the comments where people try to act like they are so empathetic, like they're so empathy, like why did she have to do that to people? Why did she have to do that to people? Why did she have to use them? They wanted to be used. They were given something by her that not many were willing to give them. To be seen is such a it's such a big important thing in so many people's lives, and you don't even understand. If you constantly being called trash, he comes from a broken home, being labeled as trash. His teachers already know him as trash. He can see his future as someone in prison, as never having a future. But to be told by someone that you are useful, that you are important or relevant in someone's life, that gave him a purpose to live and further on continue life. We also find out in high school, before he accidentally murdered his dad, he he needed funds to help provide at home because his dad was a drunk. He was abusive. He was drunk. He needed to help his little brother go through school. His dad, the final call was when his dad was abusing his brother, and he wanted to kill his brother. His dad wanted to murder his little brother. His little brother. So the dad, so they had like a, so he had to fight off his dad, and in fighting off his dad, accidentally turned the knife on his dad, and his dad, and he held himself accountable, and he served the time. Came out of prison, he kept to his personality, his fun, lovely personality. Like he kept to it. He already know that there was not going to be much for him in this life, so he loved the way he loved, serving Pikachu and running errands wherever needed to be legal or illegal, either way. And guys don't understand how his death made me feel like when he died, something broke in me. Something broke in me. Like he was the least deserving to die. Like him and Becca Jean, I don't believe they needed to be in a romantic relationship either way, but they needed each other so much because they balanced each other out so well. Yes, she was being used by him, but he wanted to be used, and she genuinely cared about him because she could relate to him because they were going through the same thing. Unlike Jinseo, they couldn't relate to one another because first of all, Jinseo never struggled. He never gone through the hardship that Becca Jean and Juno had to go through in the youth. Yes, he witnessed his mom doing such horrible things to Becca Jean, but he never had those horrible things happen to him. And continuing the plot. Now I feel like I'm just narrating the story. I'm not giving a deep dive, but let's just go on. His death really affected me the most. And to just immediately blame Becca Jean for Junho dying is crazy. Becca Jean never told him to go those lengths to kill himself in order to to release her from her shackles because he knew he couldn't save her, but he at least tried to make her life easier. And Junseo during this time was having some model grew a model compass from out of nowhere and in his mind like, okay, Pikachu's and I was recording and then the volume went off, the mic went off, so I don't even know where I ended off. Oh, Juno's death. Let's talk about Junseo's death first of all. Why did he want to make it dramatic? In Juno's final act of love was him giving Pikachu at least a sliver of autonomy because she lost her sense of autonomy to this wealthy man, Do Hyuk, because he's a wealthy man. In exchange for all the riches, the lifestyle, the wealth he gave her, he exchanged took her autonomy and her sense of self. He took her power, and he just wanted doll to be played with. And one thing we know about Becca Jean is that she's fighting for her own autonomy, and a woman and autonomy is power, and that's what he wanted to take away from her, right? And in Junho's final act of love, he chose to give away his life in order for her to gain a sliver of her autonomy. Guys, this is not like poetry. But then Juseo, on the other hand, the evil little brat he is, he he decides, okay, at the height of her career, I'm just gonna expose all her dark past, and then I'm gonna kill her. No, we're gonna go on a little drive, and we're gonna have a little lover's suicide. In his mind, at which point did they become lovers? Because their relationship is a weird, toxic attachment. They are just attached to each other. They are not lovers. And if they were, that would be so creepy. That would be so weird. Um, he commits suicide. He's a writer. At which point did he think that was romantic or poetic? Oh, the hate for him is just fuming. Moving. There are some lessons that we can take away from the show. There are some important lessons. I think I had two lessons in mind, but now I think there's three. The main lesson throughout the show is the main lesson is as a woman that you can take away is that your autonomy is important. Regardless of what is promised to you, you should always have autonomy in situations. You should always have a choice in matters that affect you and what you want or need or anything that pertains to you as an extension of you. You need to have autonomy over it. And throughout the show, regardless how crazy Becca Jean was, how her reactions was, she was fighting for something that us women are constantly fighting for or giving over away for free, you know? And the sentiment of her even having everything at some point and yet still choosing to have a choice in matters pertaining to her was shows such strong feminine power. That's real strength as a woman. And that really just, I don't know, it just opened some pathway in my brain. It just changed some form of my brain chemistry. And then lesson number two, most important. There is no rest. Not most important, but important. There is no rest for the wicked. There is no rest for the wicked. You may be inspired by Pikachu and a character, fall in love with a character, however you that may be. But that's not a way a person is supposed to live or can live or can maintain life. Because you're constantly on edge. You can't sleep. She literally doesn't sleep. She literally doesn't sleep. The only time she slept is when she was next to Ingang's grandma and, when she was safe. Because so many people are after you, you can't rest because you've done so many things, so many bad things towards people, justified or not. You can't rest because you know there's people coming after you and you need to be kept on your toes because there's no one around you you can trust. Anyways, furthermore, there is no rest for the wicked. You always have to be on your toes, always plotting. You love your peace. I know for me, for the fact, I love my sleep. I'm not gonna do anything that's gonna sacrifice my sleep. I love my rest. I love peace. I wanna enjoy life to its fullest. I do not wanna worry, look over my shoulder, who's after me. And yes, it would be ignorant of me to pretend like in life there won't be people after you, but to the extent of packaging, I hope there's not a reality for most of us. And number three, And the third most important lesson that I could take away from this, and I hope you guys took away the same lesson as me, was that internal wounds will never be healed by material success, no matter how much you think of it. There are things that the tragedies that she experienced in her life, she thought she could sort of escape them by escaping and becoming some sort of success in a material world. And each time something happens that affirms that she never actually healed and never actually moved on from her past wounds, she she takes drastic and extreme measures of revenge or sort of action. And throughout this, we can learn like nothing, if you aren't healed, like no matter how high you climb, you're still gonna feel the weight of your past. You're still gonna feel the weight of your internal wounds. I think it's really important to heal our internal wounds, right? And I think this comes to the end of this little talk. I hope you enjoyed it. This is really hard for me to do. Next time I'm gonna be more prepared. I promise. Um, wait, doesn't more prepared? I promise. And one thing is a really strong sense of self, and that's something we need to have. She has the attitude that she deserves goodness, and she received that goodness. She knew she needed better in life, and she got that better in life. Whether or not it came in a good way, she still got what she needed to get out of life.